Hi, folks. Wave. Hello. Already the interruptions begin with a little Elmer Bear. Good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait, I think, a few minutes for people to join. I'll give it a couple minutes, and then I'll jump into my studio visit and garden tour. Thanks for joining today. Welcome. I have my cup of coffee. Hopefully you all have your cups of coffee as well. Hi, Katie. All these waves. Hello, welcome. Allison Hildner, hey. This is wild. Every time my dog hears me say hello, like somebody's here, he starts barking because he thinks there's people here. Also, I don't know if you can hear, we have goslings, little baby geese, and they also hear me talking, so they're chirping. It's just a lot of noise. Everyone is making noises on the farm. Hey, Mama, Diane Petersen. Hey, everyone. So maybe I'll just give it another minute or two, I suppose. A few people, and then we can jump in. How is the connection, everyone? Oh, there's Elmer. Told you he'd interrupt. There he is. And there he goes. Great. All right, so connection's good, audio's good, all of that's good. Can you hear me okay, see me okay? Cool. Maybe connection's good, great, perfect. I live in rural Wisconsin and the internet is absolutely atrocious. I think we pay like $140 a month. And it's pretty much like dial-up quality. Yeah, what are we going to do today? All right, here we are. Welcome to the studio. My name is Alex Petersen. I'm a visual artist and educator, currently based in River Falls, Wisconsin. Although I am in Wisconsin, it's fairly close to the Twin Cities metro. I'm about 45 minutes outside of Minneapolis. It's about 30 miles or so. So I'm still kind of technically in the metro region, although I do get the benefits of living in the country and all of that. So, yeah. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my studio practice, introducing myself, talking about my current body of work, a series of drawings I've been working on. And then we'll be stepping outside for a little studio visit. That's when the connection is going to get really, probably not so good. So I'm going to try to walk places and then stop and show you some color, some things that are blossoming, some flowers and such, and some pretty foliage. So yeah, welcome everyone. So to get started, like I said, my name is Alex Petersen. I'm a visual artist and educator, currently based in River Falls. I have a pretty robust studio practice. Been a visual artist full-time for about a decade now, going on. I mean, I've always made work, but professionally for about a decade. I'm also an educator. I'm an associate lecturer of art at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. I teach drawing classes, mostly advanced classes, as well as intro to art lecture halls, studio courses and things. So I lived in Minneapolis for about 5 years and then moved with my partner Nick to the country in the autumn of 2018. So just about a year and a half we've been here. It's lovely and it's going pretty nice. So I wanted to start by talking about Elmer's barking. Always. He just barks and barks and barks. So anyways, I wanted to start by talking about my drawing practice. The first 20 minutes or so we're going to spend in the studio, and then move outside for the garden tour. So, like I said, I'm a visual artist. I mostly make drawings and paintings, and the two forms in their visual form look somewhat radically different from one another, but it's a really similar process for me. The drawings are mostly highly refined graphite drawings on paper, and the paintings are acrylic paintings on panel, usually, sometimes on paper as well, but panel or canvas. I'm going to turn the camera around now so you can see body of work. I'll kind of zoom in. This has kind of been my studio practice at the moment. You can see like a series of drawings overlapping and kind of building up. Each one of these drawings is done on various types of artist grade drawing papers, Stonehenge, Arches, cold press and hot press. Those are mainly the papers I use. All of these are 15 by 22 inches, which is kind of a standard format I use. And this series of work, it's a mode of working. It's an ongoing body of work that I call 1,000 Thoughts. And I started this when I was in grad school at the University of Minnesota, roughly around 2015. And what I found about this body of work is I really enjoy the size, the accessibility, the quickness, the ability to put text and image and graphite and even paint sometimes on paper and get ideas out really fast. So like I said, this body of work is called 1,000 Thoughts. I think someday I'll have 1,000 of these drawings. Right now I'm probably around 200 or so, probably over maybe 250. And what I really like about this body of work is that it's mostly like thoughts that I have at any given point, and it's really immediate. I have those thoughts and I can put them on paper really quick. So a lot of times it's they're text-based, which is funny because some people will look at them and be like, I really don't like text art, but I think of them more as drawings, actually, even though they are text. And for this body of work, at the current moment, they have been, yeah, thank you so much, SooVAC. This is a really great opportunity. This body of work is currently kind of in response to the COVID pandemic that we're currently experiencing. And so my goal here is to make one of these drawings per week, and they just reflect how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking about. And as I'm putting up these works, they are kind of overlapping. I'm just kind of putting them on this easel. So like over time, there's kind of this layering effect happening, and it's being documented in photographs, and maybe I'll make like a video or something, slideshow later on. There's also some more that I was working on in January and February before the country went into stay at home. So this is really just started probably in March. But yeah, and it's really fun to see how my thoughts have shifted as we collectively experience this thing that we're experiencing at the moment, this pandemic. So you can see, I'll kind of zoom in. This one I think was week 3, and I actually never finished it, filling it with graphite, but it says, my heart goes out to all the gays who have never had the opportunity or chance or take the time to learn how to cut their own hair and are now resorting to buzzing their heads in this time of crisis. Which is really funny because like the 3rd week of stay at home, I saw like so many gays online buzzing their heads, which was like this really kind of funny cultural moment that was happening. But so they're kind of lighthearted, but then some of them are a little bit more serious. This one, did you see the terrorists at the Capitol waving their symbols of hate? That was just a few weeks ago when I can't even call them protesters because they are terrorists. The kind of supremacists who are going to capitals and governors' houses and stuff and protesting the stay at home. And the reason I call them terrorists is that they're taking these guns and they're highly militarized, and they're doing it to incite fear, which is a terrorist act rather than a protest. You can see some other ones behind. There's a little nasty one of Trump and Mitch McConnell. It says God's really rolling over in his grave this time. So yeah, some strong feelings. This is the most recent. I did this one this week. And it says, don't have to wear a mask if you ain't got no ears. Which is also just kind of a really kind of dark subject matter, but maybe there's a little bit of humor there and accessibility that people can experience. I think studio visits are oftentimes maybe most successful when there's an ongoing conversation or dialogue rather than the artist talking. So if anyone has any questions at any time or wants to ask a little bit more, please do so. So I'll give you a little tour of my little space. This is my home studio. As you can see, there's this kind of large easel I've set up in the corner. We moved onto this property. We rent, and so there's a little bit of limitation in what we can do to the place. But this room was kind of up for grabs. It's an old farmhouse that has a few additions, and this addition was a 1920s Sears Roebuck living room, dining room addition. And it's not the best, it wasn't the best quality of an addition, and so it's kind of wonky. It's a little bit lopsided, the room is a little bit curved. But you can see I've taken this over as a studio. I've installed track lighting, painted the walls white. There was about 100 years of wallpaper layers and paint layers that I kind of scraped away. Oh yeah, skulls. Oh, here's a good question. Skulls are an ongoing motif in your work. What do you want to speak to? Why? Do you want to speak to why? Skulls. Yeah, so skulls. I guess it's the classic trope of the memento mori. It's just a really accessible way to talk about human existence and impermanence. And, I think one of my major factors in life is that we are here for a short period of time. I'm very appreciative that we get to experience life for a durational period of time. And I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that and lose track of it, and they're not really living their life to their fullest. So skulls are a way to remind people that we only have this short amount of time to experience all that there is in life. And here, there's like another skull up there that you can take a look at, painted MDF skull. But I like to bring it into more of a contemporary context rather than a Baroque rendition of skulls and death and mortality, and it tends to be a little bit more consumer. Here, maybe I'll turn some, I can show you guys some more. So here's some more of my painted pieces. They don't necessarily have a skull. But yeah. So just a reminder. Chelsea Petersen asked, you indicated these thoughts per week are reflections of what you are feeling. Oh, there it comes. Howdy, neighbor. You indicated these thoughts per week are reflections of what you're feeling. What emotion do you feel you have experienced most consistently during the pandemic? Really good question. I think I oscillate between extreme optimism and a little bit of mild anxiety. And the optimism is because I feel that this has given us time to slow down and reflect on the values and things that are most important to us as a society. And and I think there's room and there's space to grow collectively as a culture, and we can really think about the things that are important to us and the things we want to bring back when in a post-COVID world, which it is a different world than we were in before. Besides needing to be home now, has having a home studio changed your process? The last time I visited your studio was in a building. Ooh, yes, absolutely. So I've gone between home studios and other spaces as well. Here's the other side of my studio. You can see I have like a little workbench over here and some more of the small drawings posted. Got some plants. This is an east-facing window, so the sun comes in the morning and it's really nice to work. I've had home studios and off-site studios on and off throughout my career. And it was a little bit hard to transition to a home studio again after having an off-site studio. I had a studio in the Ivy building in Seward neighborhood of Minneapolis, which is really cool. And before that, I had a studio at the University of Minnesota as a grad student. It was a little hard kind of fitting into the space. I work large a lot of times, and I don't really have the wall space here to do that. So things have kind of gotten smaller and more accessible. The benefit of working here is we have 5 acres to kind of roam and play. And so there's a closed off attic space that I use as a spray booth. And I can paint up there in the winter and spray paint and stuff. We have a barn with a wood shop. This summer I'm planning on setting up large easels outside when the weather's nice to be able to work on some large work just like in open air, kind of tapping in my inner Monet a little bit. But yeah, Miss Caitlin Rose had a question that I don't want to forget about. How did you and your partner handle the haircut situation? Yeah, it's good, I think. I've been really working on growing out this little rat tail, and so we just kind of buzzed and faded the sides here. But I also just washed it, so it's really not behaving well, so I put on a hat. But maybe I can put it in a little ponytail. I didn't realize he posted that online, which is funny. Yeah, so there we go. Hey, Joe. How you doing? So yeah, like I said, this is my little studio. Maybe I'll turn it around and these French doors go into the bedroom. I have this easel set up in the corner, which I do most of my work on. Kind of goes around, and that goes into the dining room. Nick has been using that as a home studio, which is really nice when we're both home and we can both kind of be in our spaces working and spending the day. This corner also it's another little workbench space and some storage and paints. And then, yeah, it comes back around. So, yeah. Hey, Drew. Thanks everyone for joining me. I need a haircut. Yeah, I mean, we could all use haircuts. It's really funny that, I don't know, haircuts are an essential service, and that's very apparent right now. Yeah, so that's my work. I guess something I really wanted to talk about was how living here has impacted my practice. I'm very responsive to whatever situations I'm in currently in my life. And I think, although I'm going to show you the gardens, I think the gardens have been a really big influence for me, but it's not necessarily coming into the work quite yet, or it is in very kind of marginal ways. This is a piece I did kind of last fall. It's called Representation of Two Objects Occupying the Same Picture Plane, Wild Parsnip and Fleshlights. Which is kind of this really funny thing about like consumer sexual items and this kind of aggressive species that exists in the rural upper Midwest. And I guess if you don't know much about wild parsnip, it's a little bit, maybe this piece is a little bit coded. But wild parsnip it is in the parsnip family, and it grows pretty aggressively. And the sap on the inside of the stem, if it breaks and gets on your skin, it's UV activated. So if you get some of the sap on your skin and then sunlight hits it, it leaves some kind of large, massive burns on your skin and can be really detrimental. So then I love that being placed in context with this fleshlight, which obviously like we'd be in contact with. But other than that, I don't think maybe the gardens have kind of come into my practice super directly yet. So it's now 10:21, I think we should step outdoors and keep talking about art and gardens. And I'll show you some beautiful color that I have going on in the garden. Sound good? All right, so what's really nice also about this space is it has a door that goes immediately outside. So I have these big windows, and you can see I get a lot of natural sunlight. Your newer work, hey Amanda, your newer work has so much color. Can you speak to the graphite, black and white nature of your older work versus the colorful new work and going back and forth between using color or not? Yeah, so the color in my work, I think I was just getting bored with drawing for a little bit there, and I needed to spice things up, and so I started playing around with color. But the process for me is pretty similar. So like, I'll start with an underdrawing, say something like this, which is like a little underdrawing, but it's not really filled in. And the difference being, at this point, if I use graphite, I would fill that in with heavy values. And if I'm going with painting, I would fill that in with blocks of color. And then I would reinforce that line work, that drawing with line work. And so, in a lot of ways, it's two sides of the same coin. My process is very similar, even though the end result or the formal elements kind of look very differently. This is a really good one. I did this piece like way back in February, I think, and it's a little sprig of rhododendron that's outside my studio window. And this little piece had broken off. I think my dog's tie out had gotten tangled around it. And I kept looking at it, and I wanted to honor it, and so I made a little drawing during the winter when it was all kind of dead and dormant. But then stepping outside, that's Elmer Bear, Happy Bear, a big dog. That rhododendron is now blossoming. So at this point of the tour, I'm going to step into the gardens, and the reception might be get a little choppy, but I'm going to just kind of stop at each point and talk about things. But yeah, this is really beautiful. It just started blossoming on Thursday, and it'll probably only last maybe, a week or so, and then it'll be gone. Yeah, it is lovely. It's so cool. So these are kind of just stepping out into my yard. Yeah, I know. The colors are just so amazing. It's so vivid. The contrast between that like magenta and green is so nice. What's cool about this property is it's owned by a master gardener, and we rent it. But the garden space was kind of neglected for a few years. Nobody lived here. And so it had a little bit of a Grey Gardens feel. And so, yeah, maybe I'll go this way. There's a ton of like little paths that lead all over the garden. Okay, so like I said, it's going to be a little choppy, but when I get to some good spots, I'm going to stop. Yeah, so it's fairly wild. Wild is a good word, I think. There's tons of ostrich ferns coming up, which I just learned this year that you can, every day I can step outside and just like walk and be contemplative and mindful of the natural world. So these are the ostrich ferns once they get bigger, and you don't want to eat them once they're this size. It's like asparagus. When it gets too big, you don't want to eat it. Here's some nice little flowers. I don't actually know what these are. Does anyone know what these are? There are thousands of species of plants on this property. Here is a little, my tripod's a little wonky, but we'll try to make it work. The gnats are out this weekend, which is always something I forget about and then hate that I have forgotten about them. But this is a little pond. Nick's gonna add a little water feature. Everything's a little bit wild right now. We kind of wanted to wait till May was over in the cold, leave things for pollinators, and then once the end of May, June comes around, we'll start cleaning this up a little bit and everything will be a little bit more maintained. Yeah, thanks. It is a good water feature. There's just a little rock right there with the pump, but there's a little pot in there that's going to have some grasses and yeah, a little water feature. Mertensia. Cool, thank you. Mertensia, it's beautiful. It's all over the place. Here's a big willow tree, which is cool. I never grew up with willow trees, but I realized once I moved to Wisconsin, it seems like all the old farmsteads in Wisconsin, each one like has a big willow tree, which is really cool. Maybe I'll just move one more time. We'll walk to the other side of the garden. Already a little bit of moss growing on the water feature. Yeah, so here's a nice little bit. How's it looking? Can you guys see this? Or is the landscape in the part of Wisconsin similar, different from where you grew up in Iowa? It's somewhat similar. I grew up like kind of on the east side of Iowa, like on the nose, very close to the Mississippi River. So the landscape is somewhat similar. I would say where I'm at in Wisconsin now is the north edge of the driftless region, and where I grew up in Iowa is kind of the bottom edge, the very bottom edge of the driftless region. So there are some similarities there. This is a different zone, so it's totally different plants growing up here than in Iowa. And the landscape, there's a little bit more elevation here, bigger hills and things like that. So yeah, these are cool. These are like a little allium. I don't know exactly what they are, but each one of these little bulbs will open up and blossom maybe this weekend, in a couple days, if we have warm weather. Are there any gardeners present? Check out this app. Cool. Will do. I use one called Plant Snap that's somewhat effective sometimes. Hi from the QC area. Hey. Yeah, I love the Quad Cities. I spent a lot of time there in high school. I was really into metal music, and there was a great metal music scene in Davenport in the Quad Cities. Hey, Don. What are some people's favorite plants right now? What do you all have blossoming in your yards? Or Carolyn, what are you growing for veggies? Ooh, birds that inhabit your farm. Well, we have a lot of poultry. I don't know if that counts. We have some geese and chickens and 2 ducks. Ooh, bleeding hearts, nice. The lilacs, really? Our lilacs have budded out, but they haven't opened up yet. Birds, I'm not a big bird watcher. That's more my partner Nick loves birds, and he puts out feeders and stuff. We have a lot of like in the winter we have like pheasants who live on our farm, and so the pheasants will come up to the bird feeders, which is really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cardinals. Peonies are budding. Cool. Yeah, peonies are beautiful. I love just how big and kind of opulent their blossoms are. That's the front of my house. And my other dog came to join. This is Rosie. She's been in a lot of my artwork before. She's kind of crazy these days. Yes, a little rosy bear. Radish and peas are sprouting in our veggie garden. Mostly been transplanted stuff past couple of weeks. Cool. Hi, Rosie. She's kind of deaf and senile these days. She's pretty old. She's eating grass or something. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of walk a little bit more, see if the connection holds out. It'll probably be choppy. Like I said, there's not a lot of color in the yard right now. Here's a crabapple tree that's starting to fill out. Do the dogs like living out of the city? I think so. I don't know if dogs notice things actually like that. These crab apples are really pretty. Oh, there's two of the ganders. Our geese, all the hens are sitting on nests right now. So our two ganders are just kind of being bachelors about it. Crabapple. Here's a really nice one. The magnolia tree was blossoming a few weeks ago. It's almost done. Yeah, the blossoms are just ended. They're kind of a little sad. I found a jack in the pulpit in the front of my yard earlier this morning. I don't know if the connection will work down there. Yeah, the magnolia. Last year the magnolia was extremely fragrant. This year it was really pretty, but it didn't have as much scent to it. Here is, this is cool. This is I think this one's an ornamental sumac. So not necessarily like the wild sumac you'll see, but it has a really pretty foliage, kind of these sharp, jagged edges. If anyone saw the painting I did for Queer Forms at the University of Minnesota last summer, on the left-hand side of that painting there was some sumac. It was more wild staghorn sumac. But yeah, this is also sumac, which is really pretty. I'm kind of channeling my mother in this moment. Whenever I visit my parents' farm, my mom and I grab our cups of coffee in the morning and we walk around the yard and look at all the things blossoming. In the pixie scent, it looked like one was maybe a fiddlehead. Do you forage? Yeah, so I talked about that like a little bit ago. Maybe it was a little choppy, but this is my first year kind of knowing about fiddleheads. I teach, like I said, at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, in the art department. But I also work seasonally at a greenhouse in Spring Valley called Rush Creek Growers. And it's this really phenomenal space where I don't know, it's just this very unique little organic greenhouse nursery. And here's a good one. Maybe I'll just pose it here. And so this year I was at the greenhouse and some people were talking about fiddleheads. And I was like, what the hell is a fiddlehead? And they're like, oh, it's a fern, you can eat it. And so a lady there took me foraging and I collected ramps and nettles and fiddleheads. And the last 2 weeks I've been gorging myself on things we can eat. We also have, so there's tons of nettles and fiddleheads and ramps. If you don't know what ramps are, you should totally look them up. They're really super yummy. I just eat the leaves. And it's very green and spicy. Oh, this one's nice. So these smell absolutely incredible right now. This tree up here is all blossoming and it kind of smells like old lady perfume, but it's really good. Hey people, for those of you just joining, we're in the garden. We're looking at some color and some foliage and talking about foraging. Ramp season, yeah! Give me a big thumbs up if you like ramps. Hello! Yeah, so, garden. This is the garden. And it goes on and on. Like I said, we live on 5 acres. And I don't think I can get too far from the house because the Wi-Fi will break up. But, you know, it's kind of sad. My partner Nick and I moved out here with the intention of starting a space with the premise of art and agriculture and art. So to have like a small organic farm that's totally sustainable and to share that with people. And we had, it's really sad, we had a whole, we were talking about programming for the summer, and we're talking about having workshops out here and visits, live studio visits, and yeah, and we're working with some chefs in the city to grow some vegetables and foods for. And the COVID pandemic kind of slowed things down, so maybe we'll take it a little easy this summer. But when able, we would absolutely love people to come out, especially in the summer, anytime. So if you're interested, if this looks like fun to come spend an afternoon, let me know. Like I said, it's about 45 minutes from the city, but it's really easy to get to. It's a really nice drive through the countryside once you get off 94. And yeah, so anyway, anyone's welcome at any time. It will still happen. Yes. We're not slowing down. Garden space. Yeah, we have this big hill on the back part of the pasture. The back part of the property is a pasture, and it goes up on a hill. And yeah, anyone's visiting. So if you don't hear from me, just reach out and say, hey, I'm on a drive. I want to stop out. Yeah, come drink a glass of wine and walk through the gardens. Like I said, it's really phenomenal. The master gardener who lived here was really kind of crazy, and we had little snowdrops come up, I think of the first week of March, first or second week of March they came up, and we'll have color all the way through October. Oh yeah, there's roosters. They're pretty crazy. Here's some more tulips. I think I sent this photo. Maybe SooVAC posted it. Yeah, these are really cool. Does anyone have backyard chickens in the cities? Yeah, so we have 20 minutes left. We can open it up to more questions and discussion. I should probably show you some goslings. That was a fun story. Maybe I'll convince Nick to go get the goslings out, and then we can play with them in the yard. We do have chickens. A few chickens. We have a couple hens. We got a few more. We have some roosters that are crowing in the background. The chickens lay eggs. Yep, we eat the eggs, give them to friends. I think we tried selling them and made like $1 because we mostly just give them away. But we have one duck. We have two ducks. One's a drake, one's a hen, and the hen lays eggs as well. The geese also lay eggs, although they're sitting right now in nests, so we haven't been collecting the goose eggs. But let's see, maybe I'll just move over here and we'll bring out some goslings. You can see, so this is my flower bed. It's really one of the only parts of the property that was untouched. And last summer I had a beautiful tropical flower bed. And this year I'm doing something different. Maybe this afternoon I think I'm going to do the hardscaping on it, and then in the next couple of weeks get everything planted. But yeah, I'm going to go grab some goslings and then we'll bring them out to the yard. Hold on, don't leave. Yeah, so they're screaming right now. They're very confused and scared. So these are two goslings. We had, I think one got pooped on, which is kind of gross, but we had a mother goose. Rosie wants to eat them. No, come on. So these are the goslings. It's kind of a sad story, but we had a mother goose who was sitting on a nest, and she had been sitting on the nest for maybe like 3 weeks, and a predator got her in the night. So we came out one morning and she was gone, and there's a little pile of feathers, and so it was really sad, and the eggs had been like left unattended all night, and it was still like when it was freezing, but we took the eggs and we bought an incubator, and hey Nicole, just talking about goslings, and so we had the eggs in an incubator, which is our first time with an incubator, and it was a weird experience, but out of the eggs we got 4 to hatch out. And so these goslings are only 2 weeks old. The first one hatched out 2 weeks ago on Thursday, and they're already like little monsters. They're so big, and it's really cute. They're still chirping. But one of them, like a week ago, or no, just like 2 nights ago, started going through puberty and had its like ugly duckling moment. And we have them like in a little porch area inside, and they're all kind of chirping, and all of a sudden one was like, and was like trying to quack, and it was like this really awkward, funny moment. But yeah, these are the little baby goslings. They're very cute. They're very connected to us because we're their mamas. Nick is definitely their mama more than me. This might be the first time they've been in the yard, actually. And there's 2 more inside. One is really tiny. One we call Tiny Tim. And the ganders are now very confused. They're doing their weird goose thing. These are, what do they eat? They're really self-sufficient. All the animals we have on the farm are heritage breed animals. These are called Pilgrim Geese, which is the only breed of goose that has been developed in the United States. They're large farm geese. They don't fly. They're mostly grazers. They mostly eat grass, which is really funny. You can see they're being really affectionate. So the geese, we feed them a little bit, but they mostly just walk around all day and like eat grass, and they'll go up into the pasture where there's a lot of grass, and they'll just hang out up there and eat grass all day. They're grass geese. So yeah, Goose Eye Garden Tour. Maybe that's what I'll do, live stream, gooseeyegardentours.com. So yeah, any other questions? We have a few minutes left. Let's see, I can't read it. Goose things, I feel like that should be a title for something. Once they get a little bigger, they'll go to the pond and start swimming. Maybe I'll draw them. I should draw them. I don't know, can you, if you live in the cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, can you have geese? Seems kind of weird. I know you can have chickens, but are other birds allowed? Oh, see, they're eating grass already. Nibbling away. Do the geese and chickens get along? Not really. The chickens are pretty terrified of the geese. The geese are getting better. At first they were pretty mean. They kind of hiss and chase the chickens. But I think now everything's kind of gotten their territories down, and they each have their own spaces. You want to bring the other ones out? Here's my partner Nick. He's bringing the other ones out, or at least one maybe. All of the baby geese. Oh, that's the big one. That's the first one that hatched. It's like the size of a house cat. I think I lost the audio. Oh no! I think you should have a live stream of the garden all the time. It'd be a public service. I was thinking about it. What if I just like put a live stream and you guys could chill out? That video I made, actually, the longer video, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit about mindfulness and just slowing down and, relaxing a little bit. Oh yeah, that one's dark. Yeah, Chelsea. Creatively is the process you go through to create art similar to the creative process when planning for garden and plant projects. Yeah, I think so. Look at these crazy little things. Yeah, and I actually think that having a garden space and working with plants and designing gardens and taking care of them when geese attack. I think for me, having a garden space, it kind of takes the pressure away from drawing and painting, so I can, that's my career and my passion, but I think it's a little bit better. I don't know. Yeah, it's similar. Like, I'm thinking about compositional elements and line and color and shape and texture and all of the formal and compositional elements that go into making art are also present in drawings or paintings. How was the transition from city to farming? Any hiccups along the way? Yeah, it's been a learning process, a learning curve the whole time. But I think for me, I was at a point where I was kind of overwhelmed with city life. The traffic in Minneapolis was kind of getting to me, and different things like not having space. And I love being naked outside and gardening nude, and that's not really possible in the city. So it's cool to be out here. But yeah, it's a learning curve every single day. There's something new that we're figuring out, but that's kind of cool because we're learning as we go. The little baby goose, so cute all the time. So, yeah, little baby geese. Oh no! Yeah, come play with the little baby geese on the farm sometime. Although they'll only be babies for maybe like another week, and then they'll be very big geese. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks everyone. We have there's like 9 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, you want to just chill, I'll live stream baby geese. Hey, welcome. If you're coming in late, hanging out in the garden playing with some baby geese. They're trying to eat me. I really recommend, I think, gardening is something that can take I think gardening is like a lifetime endeavor and can take, it's something that you can put your heart and soul in and take a lot of time with. Another question, I'm having a hard time seeing it. Question from above. Has being around and taking care of your animals and land in a way informed your newer text-based drawings? Good question. I'm sure yes, but it's new, so I don't know if I have an answer to that, but I would say kind of yes. Thank you. Yes, lovely green space. I'm so glad summer is here. I'm so glad spring was here. It was a beautiful spring this year. Yeah, Amy, come play with some geese. I know you love poultry, and probably have some baby quail right about now. Hey Tiffany, welcome to the very end. There's 8 minutes left, but we're just gonna live stream baby geese. will you keep all of the geese? Probably not. We have 2 ganders already, and we have 3 more hens sitting on nest. Although one hen is a first-year hen, so she's not very good. She only sits on it for like a day and then leaves for a couple days and comes back. Probably what we'll do is any ganders that we hatch out, we will process for meat. We'll butcher either ourselves, or we'll have a professional. We'll probably have a professional come to the farm or take them someplace. So yeah, I don't know. Carolyn, this has been one of the best mornings I've had in months. Thank you. Can we do it again in a month to see the geese and garden? Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do this again. It's going to be a completely different space. There'll be so many different plants out. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for everyone for coming out. We're just over in River Falls, Wisconsin. We're working on some branding and some programming, and we'll just see. We're going to take it slow this summer and see what happens with the world, and see what happens. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and thank you so much for SooVAC. I do want to have a big shout out to SooVAC. It's really uncertain times for a lot of people, and artists I think are kind of at the bottom, in a lot of ways, the bottom of our society. And it's amazing that SooVAC is providing this opportunity for artists to share their work and their lives, and to let the public see what we're doing as artists. And to have that support is just amazing, and it really helps visual artists in the community. Geese dad. It's really Nick. I mean, they're covering me, but Nick, my partner, is really the animal person. Yeah. Thanks. A couple people are coming at the very end. Yeah, they're really adorable. Their bellies right here are really soft. I've been petting their bellies. Oh, their little wings, so cute. I'm glad it made everyone's morning. Go have a cup of coffee for me, or if you're ready to switch to mimosas, it's a perfect morning for it. But I think with that, maybe I'll sign off. I'll leave it at that. There's a couple minutes left, but yeah, I'm just gonna maybe put the geese away and maybe start gardening. So I hope you all enjoyed the tour and the plants. And sorry the reception was a little choppy, but I'll save the video and maybe you can see it a little bit better. I believe SooVAC's posting this on their website, so it's available if you missed it. You can take a look. Oh, there's my mama. Hey, mama. You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Alex. See ya. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.